Hi everyone, welcome to Talk Easy. Today, Catherine and Mike are talking about romantic idioms like head over heels, love at first sight, and playing hard to get. Find out how to use them in casual chats or romantic storytelling. Let's get started.
Want to spice up those love stories you tell?
Oh, yeah.
We're going deep into romantic idioms this time. You know, head over heels or even love at first sight.
Right.
They paint such a vivid picture, don't they?
They do.
But like, where do they come from? What do they really mean?
Well, what's so interesting about these idioms is it's not just like cute saying. They offer a glimpse into how people have viewed and expressed love across different eras and cultures.
So it's like we're uncovering a secret code
Yeah.
to understanding the language of love.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, let's start with head over heels.
Okay.
I mean, the imagery alone is just so playful and energetic.
Yeah.
It just makes me smile every time I hear it.
Yeah. Head over heels perfectly captures that feeling of intense, overwhelming love, you know, where you're completely swept off your feet.
It really does.
But what many people don't know is this phrase wasn't always associated with romance.
Really? I always thought it was about love.
Not quite. Actually, it first appeared in English literature. Oh, wow.
Way back in the 14th century.
Wow.
But back then, it was used literally
Really?
to describe someone tumbling or falling head first.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that.
So it's like going from a literal fall to falling in love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny
Yeah.
little journey for a
It's a
phrase.
complete flip.
Yeah.
But how did that happen? Why did head over heels become about love?
Well, it reflects a broader change in how love was perceived.
Okay.
In earlier times, love was often seen as more formal, even like transactional arrangement.
Interesting.
But as societal views evolved,
Yeah.
there was a growing emphasis on passionate romantic love.
Right.
And language had to adapt to express those intense feelings.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So head over heels became a way to describe that feeling of being completely consumed by love, like you're tumbling headfirst into this exhilarating experience.
ASAP.
It's a lot more evocative than just saying, I'm in love. Oh, absolutely. It adds a sense of like joyful chaos and surrender to the experience of love,
Totally.
which is often how it feels
Yeah.
when you say.
Yeah. It's like you're losing control, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would I use head over heels in a natural conversation? You know, if I wanted to use it.
Well, think about scenarios where you'd want to emphasize the intensity of your feelings.
Okay.
So let's say you're catching up with a friend. They ask how things are going. You could say, things are amazing. I met someone special and I'm completely head over heels.
Okay, so it's not just about stating a fact.
Right.
You're conveying the overwhelming emotion behind it.
Exactly.
It's like saying, I'm not just in love. I'm completely consumed by it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or, like, what if you're telling a story about a new couple and you want to highlight how smitten they are?
Yeah, you could say something like, they're so cute together, totally head over heels.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Those are really good examples. It really brings the phrase to life.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's move on to another romantic classic.
Okay.
Love at first sight. Now, this one has always sparked debates, hasn't it?
It really has.
Some people swear by it.
Yeah.
Others call it pure fantasy.
Right.
Do you believe in it?
That's the million-dollar question. Isn't it love at first sight? It really captures that instant, almost magical connection you feel upon meeting someone.
Yeah.
You know, it's as if a spark ignites and boom!
And you're captivated.
You're captivated. Exactly.
I love that.
But the idea itself has roots that go way back,
Okay.
long before modern dating apps
Right.
and speed dating.
I was going to say, I can't imagine cave people swiping right,
Right.
but I'm sure they had their own version of love at first sight.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, you're right to think historically.
Yeah.
This concept has been around for centuries. It often appears in ancient myths and literature where beauty and fate played key roles in love stories.
That's so cool.
Imagine Greek gods and goddesses being struck by Cupid's arrow.
Yeah.
That's a classic example of love at first sight.
It is.
Right.
So it's more than just a modern saying.
Yeah,
It's steeped in storytelling tradition.
it really is.
That's amazing. But how did love at first sight become such a popular idiom? Was there like a particular moment when it took off?
Well, while the idea was already circulating in literature, it was William Shakespeare who truly solidified the phrase love at first sight into the romantic lexicon.
Oh, wow.
You know, through his iconic plays like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
He gave the concept a cultural weight that continues to this day.
That makes sense. He has a way of making things timeless, doesn't he?
He really does.
But how would you casually slip love at first sight into a conversation today?
Okay, let's say someone asks about how you and your partner met.
Sure.
Instead of giving them like a long-winded story,
Yeah.
you could simply say, it was love at first sight. We just knew right away.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
And it definitely sparks curiosity, doesn't it?
It does.
It makes people want to know more
Yeah.
about that instant connection.
Yeah.
What if, like, someone is expressing doubt
Okay.
about love at first sight
Yeah.
and calling it, like, unrealistic or childish?
Yeah, you could counter with, I used to think it was a fairy tale too until it happened to me.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It's amazing how such a simple phrase can convey such a powerful emotion
Right.
and even challenge someone's beliefs.
Yeah.
But let's face it,
Mm.
not all love stories are about instant fireworks
Yeah.
and fairy tales, right?
Right.
Sometimes there's a little more strategy involved,
Yeah.
which brings us to our next idiom,
Okay.
playing hard to get.
Ooh, this one always gets a reaction.
Well, I know it does.
Doesn't it? Playing hard to get taps into a more playful, almost mischievous side of romance.
Yeah.
It's about pretending to be less interested than you actually are,
Ah,
hoping to pique the other person's curiosity and ultimately win their affection.
it's the classic chase. It is. But where did this idea even come from? It seems like something straight out of a Hollywood rom-com.
You know, playing hard to get actually reflects traditional dating dynamics,
Okay.
particularly from a time when societal norms placed different expectations on men and women.
I see.
Being too eager was often seen as unattractive,
Yeah.
especially for women.
So it was about maintaining an air of mystery
Yeah,
and keeping potential suitors on their toes.
precisely.
Okay.
It was a way of demonstrating self-worth and ensuring that the other person was truly invested.
Right.
And while dating norms have evolved significantly, the phrase itself gained traction in the mid-20th century,
Really?
around the same time that modern dating culture was taking shape.
That's so interesting. So even though dating has changed,
Yeah,
the underlying dynamics of attraction and pursuit still resonate.
they do.
It's like a timeless dance.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's say I wanted to use playing hard to get in a conversation. How would I weave that in naturally?
Imagine a friend is lamenting over a crush who hasn't responded to their messages.
Oh.
You could offer a playful suggestion. Maybe they're just playing hard to get. Give it some time and see what happens.
That's a classic scenario.
Yeah.
It's like offering a glimmer of hope
Right.
while also acknowledging the game-like aspect of dating.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's playful, but it also hints at the potential for misunderstanding.
absolutely.
What if you're observing a couple who seems to be engaged in a playful push and pull dynamic?
Yeah, you could remark, they're definitely playing hard to get with each other, but there's definitely some serious chemistry there.
I like that those are such relatable examples.
Yeah.
It's like we've all witnessed
Ah.
or even participated in this dance of playing hard to get
Yeah.
at some point. But it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
is it just a harmless game?
Yeah.
Or is there a darker side to it?
That's a question worth exploring
Okay.
because while playing hard to get can add an element of excitement to courtship, it's important to be mindful of the potential for manipulation
Right.
and mixed signals.
That's a good point.
And that's something for you, the listener,
Yeah.
to consider.
Okay.
When does a playful tactic cross the line into something more calculated
Mm-hmm.
and potentially hurtful?
Right. That's a great point. It's all about intention
Yeah.
and being aware of the impact our actions have on others.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground with these first three idioms: head over heels, love at first sight, and playing hard to get.
We have.
They're all so different in tone and meaning. Yet they each offer a unique glimpse
Yeah,
into the complexities of love.
they do.
But before we get too deep into analysis, let's take a step back
Okay.
and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What do these idioms tell us about how love is viewed and expressed across cultures?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how these simple phrases like head over heels can reveal so much about our shared human experience, you know? They transcend language and cultural barriers, tapping into emotions that are universal.
That's what's so cool about idioms.
Right.
They're like little windows into different cultures
Yeah.
and time periods, showing us how people have navigated love throughout history.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, how do these idioms actually shape our understanding of love? I mean, it's one thing to use them in conversation, but do they actually influence
Yeah.
how we think and behave in relationships?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of how language can impact our perceptions and even actions.
Right.
Think about it. We grow up hearing these romantic idioms
Uh-huh.
in movies, songs, books. They're everywhere.
They are.
So it's only natural that they kind of seep into our subconscious
Right.
and shape our expectations of what love should be.
So it's like these idioms create a blueprint for romance,
Yeah.
whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
Like if we're constantly bombarded with stories about love at first sight, do we start to believe that that's the only valid way to fall in love?
Exactly. It's almost as if these idioms set the stage for how we're supposed to feel and act.
Right.
In romantic situations, take love at first sight, for instance.
Yeah.
It's a staple in fairy tales and romantic comedies, often depicted as this magical instant connection that defies logic.
It is like the ultimate romantic ideal, isn't it?
It is.
But does that make it any less real for people who genuinely believe they've experienced it?
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
While the idea of love at first sight might be romanticized in popular culture, it doesn't negate the powerful feelings of attraction and connection that people can experience upon first meeting someone.
Right.
It's important to acknowledge that the intensity of those initial feelings can be very real, even if they don't necessarily translate into lasting love.
So it's like that initial spark can ignite something special.
Yeah.
But it takes time and effort to nurture it into a genuine, long-lasting relationship.
Exactly.
What about playing hard to get? Does that idiom also shape our behavior in dating?
Absolutely. Playing hard to get is all about creating a sense of mystery and scarcity, which, according to some psychological theories, can actually make someone more desirable.
Interesting.
It taps into our innate desire for what we can't easily have.
Right.
Think back to Jane Austen's novels, where courtship was a delicate dance of subtle cues and strategic moves.
It's like those stories provided a guidebook for navigating the complexities of attraction and courtship in a society where overt displays of affection were often frowned upon.
Right, exactly. And while societal norms have shifted, the underlying principles of playing hard to get still resonate in modern dating.
I see.
Think about the rise of dating apps and the whole concept of ghosting or breadcrumbing.
Right.
These behaviors, while often frustrating, can be seen as modern-day manifestations of playing hard to get, where individuals create a sense of distance or unavailability to heighten their appeal.
So it's like the game has evolved, but the underlying dynamics of pursuit and uncertainty remain.
They do.
But isn't there a risk that these idioms can create unrealistic expectations or even lead to unhealthy relationship patterns?
That's the key point. While these romantic idioms can be fun and insightful, it's crucial to be aware of their potential downsides. For example, if someone believes wholeheartedly in love at first sight, they might dismiss potentially great relationships simply because they didn't experience that initial boom of instant connection.
Or they might chase after unavailable partners, thinking that playing hard to get is a sign of genuine interest. When it could just be a manipulative tactic. So it's all about finding that balance, right?
It is.
Appreciating the cultural richness of these idioms without letting them dictate our own unique love stories.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about recognizing that real-life relationships are complex and messy, full of contradictions and nuances that can't be neatly captured by a single phrase.
It's like embracing the beauty of those romantic ideals without letting them become rigid rules that limit our experiences and choices.
Exactly.
I'm also curious, are there any romantic idioms from other cultures that offer a different perspective on love?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, some outside the typical Hollywood romance narrative.
There are so many fascinating examples. One that comes to mind is the Japanese concept of koi no yokan. It translates to premonition of love.
Wow.
And refers to that feeling you get when you meet someone and just know you're going to fall in love with them.
Wow.
Even if it hasn't happened yet.
That's deep.
Yeah.
It's like a sixth sense for love.
It is.
It suggests a connection that goes beyond initial appearances or even shared interests. It's more about a sense of destiny. Or an intuitive feeling that you're meant to be with this person.
Exactly. It speaks to a different way of understanding love. One that's less about instant gratification and more about a gradual unfolding of connection and destiny.
It's so refreshing to hear about these alternative perspectives on love. It reminds us that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to romance. Different cultures and individuals experience and express love in unique ways.
Yeah,
And that's something to celebrate.
it is.
But I'm also wondering, with all this talk about idioms shaping our expectations, is it possible to break free from these pre-scripted narratives? Can we create our own language of love
Yeah.
that's more authentic to our individual experiences? I mean, that's a really good question. Can we break free from these ingrained romantic narratives and create a language of love that's truly our own? It's tempting to get swept up in the fairy tale.
Right.
But it's also important to stay grounded in reality.
Absolutely. While these idioms can offer a fun and insightful framework for understanding love, it's crucial to remember that they're just that frameworks.
Yeah.
They're not hard and fast rules that dictate how our love lives should unfold.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we appreciate the beauty and cultural significance of these romantic idioms without letting them box us in or create unrealistic expectations?
Well, it starts with awareness.
Okay.
By recognizing that these phrases are simply tools for expression, not mandates for how love should be.
Right.
We can start to reclaim our own narratives.
So it's like taking back the power of language
Yeah,
and using it to define love on our own terms.
exactly.
But that can be challenging,
It can.
especially when we're bombarded with these idealized images of romance
Right.
from a young age.
Yeah, it certainly can be. But by being more mindful of the messages we're absorbing, we can start to challenge those ingrained narratives, remember?
Okay.
Real love is rarely picture perfect.
Right.
It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it requires effort and compromise.
So instead of trying to force our relationships into these pre-existing molds,
Yeah,
maybe we should focus on creating our own unique love stories,
exactly.
embracing the imperfections and complexities along the way.
And that might involve redefining what romantic success looks like for us personally. It might mean letting go of the fairy tale ending and embracing the beauty of a love that's real and enduring.
Right.
Even if it doesn't fit the classic head over heels or love at first sight narrative.
It's like giving ourselves permission to deviate from the script
Yeah.
and write our own love stories,
Exactly.
complete with plot twists,
Yeah.
unexpected challenges, and unconventional happy endings.
And in doing so, we might even discover new and more authentic ways of expressing our love both to ourselves and to our partners.
That's a great point.
Maybe it's through shared experiences, acts of service,
Yeah.
or simply being present and supportive through life's ups and downs.
It's like finding our own unique love language.
Yeah.
One that goes beyond the classic romantic idioms and speaks to the heart of what truly matters in a relationship.
And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love isn't a one-size-fits-all experience.
Right.
It's a journey of discovery, growth, and constant evolution.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of romantic idioms,
Yeah.
I think the key takeaway is to appreciate the richness and history of these phrases,
Yeah.
while also recognizing that our own love stories are ours to create.
Beautifully put. Remember, you have the power to define love for yourself on your own terms.
Yeah.
And create a relationship that's authentic and meaningful to you.
And for all of you listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
Do any of these idioms resonate with you personally? Do you have a favorite romantic expression from your own culture that captures the essence of love in a special way? Share your experiences and insights.
Yeah.
And let's continue this conversation about the ever-evolving language of love. Until next time, keep exploring, keep loving, and keep writing your own unique love stories.